And now, Mary Foster, the editor's daughter. Mary Foster Lord is extremely upset by the decision of her father, Henry Foster, to play a golf match with John Redmond, the winner to publish the loser's paper for a week. Well, today is the day of the match. Mary is washing the breakfast dishes as Henry enters and says,
Well, any sign of Doc Nelson yet, Mary?
Nope.
Well, he said he'd be here about this time to drive me out to the club.
I haven't seen him or heard from him this morning.
Well, he'll most likely be along in a minute or two. You're going out with us, ain't you?
Nope.
Oh, but I thought you'd planned to watch us play.
No, I've changed my mind. In the first place, there's nobody to stay with the children. And even if there were, I doubt very much if I'd want to watch you go through such a silly procedure.
Silly? You mean the game itself?
I mean the conditions under which you're playing John Redmond are silly.
Well, now, see here, child. We've been all through that. There's no need to go through it all again.
I was merely answering your question.
Well, don't mention it again, because I'm sick and tired of hearing about it. Oh, there's Doc now. I'll be back right after the game.
All right. Good luck. Oh, dear. He's going to lose today. I just know he's going to lose.
Is anybody home?
Well, Mrs. Darby, come on in. Come on in and sit down.
Hello, Mary.
Oh, this is so nice. I haven't seen you for weeks. How are you?
Very well for an old lady.
Old lady. Oh, just listen to her.
Well, not getting any younger, my dear. I'd have called in before this, but I've been up to my ears, literally, in housework. Della and I really went over that house with a fine-tooth comb.
Oh, I'll bet you did.
Otherwise, there's nothing interesting to report. How's everything with the Fosters?
Oh, just about the same. I suppose you know that Dad has taken up golf.
Yes, isn't that a scream? Say, what's all this I hear about his playing John Redmond, this agreement about the newspapers? Is the winner really going to take over the loser's paper?
Uh-huh. And, oh, Mrs. Darby, I'm so worried about it. If Dad wins, of course, he won't do anything about Redmond's paper, but just let Redmond get his hands on the Sentinel and see what happens.
Yes, I can imagine. Whatever possessed Henry to get into a deal like that?
Oh, I don't know.
Usually he's so level-headed.
Well, he certainly wasn't this time.
Well, has he any chance of beating Redmond? He beat him before, I understand.
Well, no, Mrs. Darby, he didn't really. Huh? If Amelia hadn't picked up Redmond's ball and substituted a wooden ball, Dad never would have won. That's why he agreed to play Redmond again, to give him a square deal, as he put it.
Yes, that's your father all over, Mary. He's one of the most honorable men in his dealings I ever knew. He'll go miles out of his way to make certain the other person is satisfied.
But just the same, he needn't have agreed to play Redmond again. He could have called the whole thing off. As for beating Redmond today, well, I doubt that he can. As a matter of fact, we should be getting some word shortly now.
Well, he may win. I wouldn't make up my mind that he's going to lose. That won't help. You're tired, aren't you, dear?
Tired? No, I don't think so. I haven't done anything to get tired.
Your nerves seem to be a little bit on edge.
Well, maybe. You know, Mrs. Darby, I think the answer would be for me to take a place of my own. Oh, of course, I think the world of Dad, and I'd do anything for him, but lately he's been getting more and more set in his ways. For example, he has some very definite ideas about how Jimmy should be brought up, and if I don't go according to those ideas, I hear about it.
And you don't go according to those ideas,
Not all of them, no.
I can understand that you wouldn't. I probably wouldn't myself. The whole thing is, Mary, you should go out and get yourself a nice husband. Oh, you're still young, very attractive. You'd find it would make a world of difference in your outlook on life.
Mrs. Darby, don't forget, I have a son and a stepson to consider.
All the more reason.
A man doesn't always want to assume the care and responsibility of another man's children.
True enough. But occasionally you find a man who's a perfect saint in that respect. I know you've broken your engagement to Fred Hunt, but have you given up all idea of marrying him?
Pretty much. I'm just afraid it wouldn't work.
Then what about young Dr. Nelson? He seems to be awfully nice.
Oh, he is. He's very nice. But Bill seems more like a brother to me than anything else. Not to mention the fact that Sandra has some very definite ideas in regard to marrying him.
Oh, how does he feel about that?
I'm not sure, but I don't think he takes it too seriously. No, all in all, I guess I'll go right along as I'm going.
You never can tell about those things, Mary. First thing you know, some nice man might come along and you'd fall in love with each other, get married, and be very happy.
Oh, it could happen, of course, but...
Well, meanwhile, I hope you'll think it over well before you decide to move out and leave your father. He needs you here, Mary.
No, I know he does. Otherwise, I'd have taken the children and found a place of my own a long time ago. Well, here's Dad now.
Oh, hello, Henry.
Oh, hello. Hello, Edna. Glad to see you.
You don't need to tell me how the game came out. I can tell by your expression.
Yep. Redmond beat me. No doubt at all about that this time. He trimmed me good and proper.
Well, somebody has to lose, Henry. Although I'm sorry you didn't win, naturally.
I just couldn't seem to hit anything right today, whereas Redmond was doing good. Yeah, I guess you was right, Mary. I never should have let myself get tangled up with him in another match.
Too bad you didn't realize that before, darling. However, that's that.
Well, I figured I had a pretty good chance to beat him.
Oh, I see he's not losing any time crowing over his win.
What? Oh. What in blazes is he calling here at this house for?
What I just said, crowing.
I think I'll be going alone.
Oh, no, please don't, Mrs. Darby. You don't have to go on John Redmond's account.
Come in.
Well, how do you feel now, Henry? Guess I showed you a thing or two today, didn't I,
All right. Get it out of your system, Redmond.
Couldn't do much today, could you, without Amelia out there to pick up my ball and cheat for you? Oh, hello, Edna.
Hello.
And Mary, I didn't notice you at first. Kind of dark coming in out of the bright sunlight. No, sir, he couldn't do much without Amelia to cheat for him.
Now, you hark to me, Redmond. There ain't no call for you to walk into my house and talk that way. So you better be on your way right now.
Sure, I'll go in a minute. Just wanted to make sure you understand I'm going to take over the Sentinel next week, Henry.
I understand.
Good thing you do. I'll have my own crew come over and tend to getting the paper out.
Your crew?
That's what I
Oh,
said.
Dad, that's absurd.
It's more than that. Now, you just hold your horses, Redmond, because no crew of yours is coming in here. There's nothing in the contract that says I got to submit to that.
You'd better read that contract again, hadn't you? It states that the winner has the complete say with regard to the loser's paper. That means I'll send over my crew, and it also means I don't want any of your crew around.
Now, Mr. Redmond, look here. That isn't fair. You can't make Dad take that.
Can't, eh? You just wait and see if I can't.
If you think for 1 minute, Redmond, that I'd let your gang of thugs loose in my press room without being there myself to see what they was doing, you're crazier than a half-witted hoot owl.
They tell me you're an honorable man, Henry, and that you'll live up to the letter of a contract. Remember, it says the complete say. Complete. Good day to you, folks.
John's certainly a sweet sort of person, isn't he?
Isn't he, though? Dad, you can't let him get away with that. Why, I wouldn't put it past him to attempt to put you out of business by ruining the press.
I wouldn't be at all surprised, but that's what he's got in mind. Still in all, Mary, he's right. It says the complete say.
Oh, good night. Darling, don't you understand that there's a limit to how far you can let that man go? It's fine to be honorable about a contract, but you don't have to lean over backwards in being honorable. Don't you dare let him put a crew out there.
Oh, I'd say Mary was absolutely right, Henry. For goodness sake, use your reason.
Well, I'll think it over.
What is there to think over?
The terms of the contract. I guess I better go get washed up now. I'll see you later on, Edna.
Yes, goodbye, Henry.
Oh, honestly, if he lets Redmond get away with a thing like this, I'll just be plain wild. Well, when the man mentioned it, I could hardly contain myself. Who does he think he is, anyway?
John Redmond. It's too bad this had to happen, Mary, but now that it has happened, the only thing for you to do is to make the best of it.
Well, I'm not going to have that crew over here. I don't care if the Sentinel is Dad's paper and not mine. I won't have it. It's as I said before. If Redmond could ruin the press and put Dad out of business, he'd do it in a minute.
Well, you've got a couple of days yet, Mary. Probably your father will think better of his noble resolve, if that's the way he feels now, and obviously it is.
Well, he'd better.
But if he doesn't, perhaps we can figure out something. In any event, don't let it worry you to death. Now, I must be going.
Mrs. Darby, I'm awfully glad you called in. And I didn't mean to explode like that in front of you. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't apologize, my dear. I'd have reacted the same way in your place. Maybe I'll have a talk with Henry.
Oh, would you? I'm sure he'd listen to you.
Let's see how he'll feel about it tomorrow. Meanwhile, I wouldn't say too much to him, Mary. Let him think it over.
Well, I'll try not to. But if he's not sensible, I will move out of this house and move out in a hurry, too.
Can Edna do anything to straighten out this trouble, with Henry determined to live up to his agreement with John Redmond, and Mary equally determined to leave home if he does? Be sure to listen to the unexpected developments in the next dramatic chapter of Mary Foster, the Editor's Daughter. Do you know that you can buy yourself and your family 132 tall, tinkling glasses of refreshment for only 35 cents? Yes, ma'am, that's the price of a half-pound package of Kroger's Special Blend for iced tea. And what iced tea it makes. You see, Kroger's Special Blend for iced tea isn't ordinary tea. It's just exactly what its name says it is. Tea that is specially blended to give you extra good iced tea. Yes, Kroger's Special Blend for iced tea is a secret blend of Ceylon and India teas. And this fine tea makes extra special iced tea on 2 counts. First of all, it retains its wonderful flavor, that good, full-bodied tea flavor, after it has been iced. And besides that, Kroger's Special Blend for iced tea retains its deep, rich tea color after icing, too. You'll be proud to serve Kroger's Special Blend for iced tea to your family and guests because it looks so good and tastes so good. Get Kroger's Special Blend for iced tea. A half-pound package costs only 35 cents. Now, here is your local announcer.